All right, so welcome to class today. Today is our business class, well, a business class that we'll talk about. Resignation is the topic. Do either of you have any idea of what resignation is? At work. It does have something to do with work.
To resign?
Okay, and what is to resign?
To quit.
To quit.
Exactly. All right. Okay, so you both know about this. Great. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Class is over. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's make sure this is all ready to go. Ooh, there's one paragraph I didn't proofread at the end. So if something's wrong, it's my fault. All right. Go ahead and I'll try and share my screen. No, it's not up. Why does that happen? Okay, now we'll try again. Resignation. Perfect. Share, and here we go. So, resignation. Big, bold letters because it's important to know. So, what is resignation? Basically, what you two were saying. Elle, could you read this for us?
Okay, this is a term used for when someone is leaving, quitting a job, and they inform HR correctly. This is done in more formal business situations. It will depend on your job if you need to write a resignation letter or not.
Exactly. Any questions from this little paragraph?
I don't have nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I think everything in this paragraph is fine. I have added some idioms and some other different structures today on purpose because we need to always expand our vocabulary. So, okay, let me just fix this. Of course, look, Ken, it wants me to use the semicolon. I hate when it does that to me. Anyway, it's not wrong. Okay, Ken, could you read this for us?
Okay. Employers might resign for multitude of reasons. They think they found a better job or position or opportunity. Their spouse accepted a different job which requires moving to a different city, state. A parent might decide to stay home with children or even have to help care for a parent.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you can resign for obviously a lot of different reasons. And for a multitude of reasons is a new structure that I wanted to use because I don't think I've ever used it. So, have you heard of this phrase before or not?
No, but I can guess what it is because multi.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Ken, have you seen it before?
No, also I might use this as like for a multitude reason without all probably.
Okay,
But maybe it's not grammatically correct, probably.
yeah, now that's a good question. For a multitude of reasons. I'm going to say from my teaching experience, not because I have proof of this, but it basically means that a multitude would be used as a plural noun in a singular form. I think like the word people. People is plural, but there's no S.
Mm.
I mean, then we also have the opposite of economics, for example, or athletics, or something like that with an S, but it's actually singular. I mean, economics is a topic, so it's one. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Like a group of reasons. A group, group also means group is more than one. A group is 2 or 3 minimum. Okay. All right, good. So any other questions about vocabulary in this part?
Kind of to know the singular and plural is not a piece of cake for me.
It's not a piece of cake. I love that. Elle, what does a piece of cake mean?
A piece of cake, easy.
Easy. Thank you. Very good. I just want to ask about this word because I think we saw this not too long ago. Spouse. What is the word spouse?
Spouse is husband and wife.
Yeah, husband or wife in this case. You normally have one of the other.
Yes,
in some religions you don't, but if you had more than one spouse, it would be spouses. That's all. You would make it plural. Okay. So fantastic.
I remember spouse is used for married couple.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
so my spouse is my husband. It's what can I say? Like a general term for significant other. You're not saying significant other actually is like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, fiance, something like that. It's not as specific. Spouse means yes, that you're married.
Okay.
So, and just a side note, some extra information. Here in Spain, a lot of times people they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but they've been together for 10 years, 12 years. Here in Europe, marriage isn't as popular as it used to be. I think because here they have a lot of traditions, and getting married is that typical one. And so I don't know if people are being rebellious or want to change, but nowadays we know a lot of people who have been together and will be together, for the rest of their lives. And someone asked me what I call that in English. And I said, well, are you engaged? I mean, is there a ring or is there a thought of a wedding? No, I don't think we're going to get married. And I think, then it's your boyfriend or girlfriend. Yeah, but it's forever. And I'm like, if you're not even engaged, you're not fiancés, you're not spouses, you're not husband and wife. So basically what I've thought of is the term long-term boyfriend or girlfriend. I think that's the only thing that we could say to represent their situation. So anyway, that was just a little side note. We'll get back to business.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
How about I'm curious about in Spain or Japan, do the spouse wear wearing wedding rings? Do
You said that fine. Wedding rings is perfect.
do they wear in Spain or Japan?
Ken, do you want to answer first, or should I? Go ahead.
Traditionally, we don't have such a tradition.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But nowadays, people imported Japan imported such custom, and
Western.
But some people, Western custom, and some people wearing rings, but some people don't wear rings. But usually, maybe such kind before the marriage, maybe man, gave the ring to.
Yeah, right.
That's really important.
Same in Thailand, but just curious about how about Japan?
Interesting. Well, in the United States, I think it's obvious we have rings.
Yeah, people. My husband and I, we don't wear rings, wedding rings, because this time we don't get used to it. And sometimes people just curious about why don't you wear wedding ring, something. But I didn't say anything.
Well, I mean, all you have to say is it's not a tradition for us. I mean, there's things that I did in my wedding in the United States that I probably wouldn't do here in Spain, or that I would do here in Spain because it's different and it's normal. For example, so first the rings. The rings in the United States, we have a ring for getting engaged, and then we have another ring for both people. So when you're engaged, the woman wears the ring. I've never heard of a man wearing a ring. And then for the wedding day, we both have rings. So a woman typically has 2 rings and a man has 1. Also, what happens is there's something called a promise ring. A promise ring is given to a woman or a girl normally from the man. And it's basically saying, I want you in my life forever, but there's no plans. I mean, you're not engaged officially. The engagement ring would come later, maybe when you're finished with college, you're financially more stable, something like that. A promise ring basically is a promise to each other to stay together. So we have that. Here in Spain, gold rings are typical. No jewels, no decorations. I mean, if you have a lot of money, you might put diamonds into it, but nothing like in the United States where the ring actually pops up. And actually, I'm wearing my wedding rings today, so hold on. Let me stop screen sharing for a second. I can explain these. Sometimes I wear them, sometimes I don't, because I'm actually allergic to one. So I have 2 rings, as you can see. This black one is black diamonds and white gold.
It should be the left side or the right.
That's the other. I forgot to mention that. In the United States, it's very typical to have it on your left hand.
Yeah.
I have it on my right hand because in Spain, it's where you put the ring. So,
oh, really?
Also, my fingers are different sizes, so it's difficult for me to put them on this hand. Our story is a little different because I got my rings from my uncle, who owns his own store in New York City. So I talked to him. He designed the rings for me. Both of these rings were made specifically for me and only for me. So the strange thing is that my husband and I decided to get married very early into our relationship. We were not financially stable. So when we were getting more serious about a wedding, I talked to my uncle and he made this ring. He gave it to me when I was home for Christmas one year, but we were not engaged. So I wore it on my right hand. Oh. When I got engaged, when my husband asked 7 months later in Belgium, I couldn't put it on my left hand. Now it fits, actually, because I've been losing weight, which is fantastic. So, but it feels very strange. That feels extremely strange. So I decided to leave it on my right hand. And then I thought, well, when we get married, I'll have this ring on this finger. But then I thought, now I can't wear any other rings ever. So I just put this one with the other one because it was the same size. So now, yes, that's our little history there. So in Spain, yes, it's typical to wear just a gold band on the right hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's different.
It is very different. I'm just going to share the screen again so it's ready for when we're ready. But I also wanted to mention, for example, we had a unity candle. So it's very typical for the man and the woman to have a long match, you know, that thing with fire at the end, and light the candle together to signify or to represent that you're 2 different people, but you're becoming one today or that day. Mm-hmm. And so we did that. But when I told people here that's what we were doing, they said, but people do that for First Communion. They don't do that for weddings. And I thought, well, that's strange. It's such a normal thing for us to do. So, you know, some of the traditions from the United States, I'll still have here. So that's basically it. Okay. And any other questions?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. So I have a question for you. Why is a ring not typical in Thailand or Japan even?
No, we don't wear everywhere. We keep it. And when we go to the party or the ceremony or the special event, we wear it. But in daily life, we don't wear it because, you know, it's just tradition. And I don't think it's not suitable to wear every day. If you do like a washing your plate or you have to do the house chore, I don't think it's it's okay with the ring on. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's our tradition. Just we don't wear it. But I don't know why. But when I think about the daily life, I think, oh yeah, it's reasonable that we don't wear ring, because over here in US we have a different like a lifestyle. Yeah, compared to Thailand, we don't have the dishwashing in the past. You have to like put the water in the bucket and washing place or something like that. We don't have the dishwashing like in USA. Yeah.
That's interesting. Ken, do you have any information about why it's not typical to wear rings?
Actually, it's typical, but some people don't wear that because it's not comfortable. So they might lose the link. Also, it could hinder some daily work. So some people wearing every day, but some people not. Also, it's not our tradition originally. So we imported the tradition from the West.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Who doesn't do that? Yeah. Well, I mean, as you can see with my rings, the purple ring is, the jewel is up. It's not inside the ring like the black stones are. So that's kind of, like I said, with here in Spain, you normally just have a gold band, maybe have a design or a line in it or something to make it a little different. But in general, it's a representation, but it's not as important like it is in the United States. I'm sure both of you know that in the United States, a lot of people have huge rings and everything. So yeah, definitely different. So all right. Well, good conversation there, a little culture today as well. So Ken, is it your turn to read this? Let me see.
No, it's my turn.
It's yours. I can't. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you started today. I have to remember you started today. Okay.
Sorry,
all right, please
Ken.
shine. Go ahead.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
Just kidding.
You can read it.
Since the reason are endless for what might cause an employee to resign, it's important to know the process. Each employee resignation process should be the same, and the future ex-employee will have to answer the same questions and write a letter.
Okay. Questions in this part?
No, I don't have. No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask about endless. What does that mean?
Infinity.
Exactly. I was just thinking of another word, countless. Since the reason are countless, there's so many you can't count them. Okay, oops. Okay, good. And I wanted to add a different phrase here. So future ex-employee is the person who's resigning. So I just wanted to use it a little differently, if not, because it's not really an employee now if they've turned in the letter. So there's a specific process that you have to do, and there will be questions from the employer, the company, and in order to have an official resignation, you have to write a letter. Okay? All right. So Ken, now that it's your turn, just a little one for you. Can you read this?
Okay. There are a lot of different ways to approach writing a letter, and that depends on the reason for resigning. So once you know the reason, you can choose the correct format.
Good. What is a synonym for approach?
Way.
Exactly.
Way. Use.
I know,
way,
that's why I used
way.
approach, because there are a little bit ways to weigh. No, we would have to restructure this. There are many different ways on how to write a letter. for example, we could say. So obviously we can say this differently, but it depends. I mean, depending on the reason you're writing the letter, maybe it's going to be longer than a different reason. So I've added the word format because there's specific ways, there's different examples on how to write a resignation letter. And so I've written here, I'll have to move down, but these are the typical resignation letter reasons. Okay, so Elle, why don't you read this and I'll have to move down a little bit, okay?
Okay, here are some examples for typical common resignation letters: future plans, new job opportunity, happy to resign, personal reasons, returning to school, spouse restoration, better use skills.
All right, so do we understand every type or not?
Better use. I think I'm okay with all of this.
All of them?
Of them, yes.
Ken, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, well then I have some questions. What, for example, why would someone be happy to resign?
Happy to resign it would be happy to new job, happy to resign. Maybe the reason that make you happy to quit a job, everything.
It's everything. Isn't it a little strange though to be happy about resigning? I mean, if you want to say, "Hey, company, I'm leaving. Bye. I'm really excited to leave."
Maybe you want a Rotary.
Rotary?
Win a Rotary.
Win
a Rotary.
I didn't think about winning the lottery in this case.
Winning a Rotary, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking of a different reason. Ken, can you think of any other reasons why someone might be happy to resign?
Yeah, it's strange. Happy is I think sometimes it's happy for the company too, but usually not. So happy to resign. Maybe it's kind of gain situation.
Okay. Yes. Well, in this, I was personally thinking when you're going to retire.
Okay, got it.
I mean, of course, yes, there are other reasons.
If he or she retires, and do they have to write a resignation letter?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on the company. You know, if you work at like McDonald's, no, you don't have to. You just have to say, "Hey, I'm done in 2 weeks." This is for more like, you know, the HR, and I don't want to say HR, but for more formal businesses, you know, big companies where it's huge and you have to talk to HR about everything. So again, it does depend on the company. Absolutely. Okay. For example, if I wanted to quit this job, for example, I mean, I would just talk to Thomas and say, "Hey, Thomas, I can't do this anymore. Thanks." And that would be it. You know, I would probably Skype him or something like that to do it in person, because obviously that's better than just a text message. That's way too informal. So it does depend on the job. Like if it's a small company, then probably not. Then you would just talk to the manager or boss or something like that. And you could do that just by setting up a meeting and having a conversation. But this is like when the company's very, very big, at least, or well known. Okay, if you work at Google, at Facebook, or whatever, definitely you would have to resign. Okay, personal reasons could be whatever. I mean, later we'll see a different example, but this could be for whatever reason. This, you just say, "Yeah, I'm leaving the company." Done. And you don't have to say anything specifically. So then this type of letter you would write being more general about everything. You know, if you're writing a resignation letter about future plans, you can say, "You know, I just really need to leave this job because I want to focus on a new career, blah, blah, blah." You know, in this case, I got a new job at this company. I'm leaving because of the conditions. Okay, maybe it's more money, maybe it's closer to your home, maybe there are other things that benefit you at a different company than this company. So these types, I mean, like I said, if you resign, you're going to want to focus it on a specific reason, and let them know. The better use skills could be that it's, for example, you work as a secretary somewhere, okay? And a secretary, as we've said, it's a very busy job, but it's in the work company, it's more on the basic end. On the lower end, it's not a manager, it's not a boss, it's not a CEO position. So with that, you can just say, better use skills. I have studied this degree, and now I'm going to use my degree at a different company. Okay, maybe you're not being used to your full potential at this company. So that's what that one means. Okay, and the spouse relocation, that's your spouse, as we saw in the first paragraph, your spouse gets a job in a different area and you need to leave. Not because you want to, but because you love your spouse and you want to live with them. So that's a good reason. Ken, could you read this, please?
Dealing with the resignation can be difficult as a boss, because you know a good worker is leaving and that person has to be replaced, which isn't easy. So looking for a person to fill that position can also be quite challenging.
Okay, so good. So I've added good in here in parentheses because maybe it's not a really great worker, but it's a good worker. You trust them and whatever else. So I've added that because it could just be a normal person. Oh, that's okay. We'll find someone else. But if it's a really good worker, then you're disappointed because not only do you have to find someone else, but that person is leaving and that person will not work with you. Maybe you have a good relationship, something like that. So there's a lot of things involved when it's on the opposite side, not the person who's resigning, but the company. So I think everything is here. The only thing I wanted to mention is this word to fill. When we say that someone needs to be replaced in the company, we say to fill that position. It's kind of a collocation that we use. To fill that position, I can't think of another word that we would use instead of fill. Do you have any questions about that? No? Great. Move on. Okay. Okay. No, it's just the word that we use. So
Yes.
I don't have any reasons. L.
Okay.
Whoa, this one's long.
Wow, that's long.
Good
Also,
luck.
as a boss, you should notify other employees about an employee's resignation. You can do this by telling the employee's department first. You could call a quick meeting to inform other employees that the employee's last day is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks is the normal timeline in the USA to tell a job that you are leaving. This way, everyone is on the same page and knows what's going on. Awkward situation can be avoided by doing this.
Okay, so lots of information here. I think as far as the vocabulary, everything's okay. I do want to ask about timeline. 2 weeks is the normal timeline. What do you think that means?
Timeline is 2 weeks is timeline. Timeline is, yeah.
Okay, how else could you say this? With different words.
Is the different word. 2 weeks is the normal. I don't know. I couldn't think anything. My brain just.
That's okay. That's okay. If you understand, that's good. But I always like to try and expand the vocabulary. So, Ken, do you have any ideas?
Maybe process or schedule.
Process or schedule. Yeah, I would say it's the normal amount of time in the United States. So I would say quantity of time basically is what it represents. Okay. Let's see. I think that's it. What about the word awkward? How would you describe this word to somebody?
Yeah, awkward. Awkward is uncomfortable situation.
Yeah. Okay, good. Ken, can you think of any other words?
Weird.
Yes. Weird and uncomfortable are the best words to describe that. That's great. Perfect. All right. Any other questions or comments about this part?
No, I don't think so. I don't have.
Okay. So very good. We'll continue on. All right, Ken, please.
Okay. Other employees might not mind lending a helping hand while you search for a new replacement employee. This is also a good opportunity to talk to the employees to see if they are interested in the position which they could apply for internally. In order to apply for a job internally, you should submit a CV or resume to the HR department.
Okay. So obviously my first question is going to be lending a helping hand. What do you think that means?
Like, I think. Okay, sorry, Ken.
No.
I just, maybe I think I'm not wake up yet.
That's okay. It's an expression that we use that can be easily understood if, well, I don't know.
Help, like if my friend leaving, and like in this situation, she already informed the company, and I know after she left, I have to do her job until we got a new employees.
Yeah, basically that's it. Can you think of maybe a word or a phrase that we could use?
Might not mind leading. I don't know.
We would use the phrasal verb help out in this case.
Okay, helping out.
Yep, so we're using helping in the ing form because it's after mind, just like lending is also in the ing form about the phrase, about the verb patterns, okay? So other employees might not mind helping out, okay, to lend a hand, or helping in general, okay? Also, if some employees are maybe looking to have a different position, maybe it's more money, maybe it's, I don't know, different hours or anything, but they can also apply internally. Internally basically means to apply, you're already an employee from the company and you apply for a job at the same company. Okay, so it's not a new person, which then what would happen is if a person from the same company got the job, this new job, then they would have to look for someone else for the other position. So they still have to hire someone, but for a different position. So, and we've talked about other times too that it might be a good idea to hire internally because they've been through the hiring process. They work well. Hopefully you will have that on record, or if they're late, you know the person. So it can be good and maybe even more beneficial for companies to hire internally first. And then if they don't find anyone appropriate for the position, then they might look externally. Okay? Perfect. So moving on. L. Oh, yes. I'll have you read this part.
As far as the future ex-employee, you will want to be careful to not do certain things. Counter offers. Offer the person more money to stay. It's obvious the employee has made up their mind about leaving. So now it's not the time to try to make them stay. They've probably thought a lot about what to do. They have already spoken to their spouse, significant others, etc. It might not be the money, but also the work environment they want to leave.
Okay. So good. So we have this. So other
Counter offer? Yeah.
Yeah. Counter offer is basically, for example, Elle, if you turn in your resignation letter to me, I look at it, I read it, I call you into my office later, the same day, later, whatever, and I offer you kind of a different amount of money so that you will stay.
Mm-hmm.
So a counter offer is, okay, well, if you stay, I'll give you this amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, I don't want to say the word bribe. Do you, the word here, bribe. Oops, bribe. Do you both know what bribe means in English?
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean?
It's usually like if you want to do something and you want a quick pass, and then you give some money to them, and they can do it quickly.
Mm-hmm. That's a good example. Ken, did you want to add anything?
A bribe is illegal here, and illegal money to take advantage of doing something.
Okay. Well, yes, I agree with that. And a bribe could even be like, oh, if you do this for me, I won't tell someone that you did this. And it's also called blackmailing. So there are some different expressions. So it's kind of like a bribe. It's not a bribe, but it's just saying, hey, well, I want you to stay because life will be easier for the boss, for the company, whatever, and you'll say, I'll give you more money to stay. You don't want to do that because it makes you kind of look weak, actually. I mean, I shouldn't say that. That's not what I understand from the counter offer. But you don't need to try and convince them to stay, as I have here. They probably thought a lot about what to do. Maybe this is their first job or they've been here for a long time. And it's going to be a big change for them too. So, it's going to be positive and negative for them. They've probably spoken to their husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, about the same situation, or their parents or siblings or something like that. So, this isn't something that they just say, oh, yeah, please. They're going to think about it for a long time first. And it's going to be difficult for them. So this is something that you shouldn't try and convince them because they've already made that difficult decision. Okay? Another reason would be prying. Ken, could you read about prying?
Prying, looking for more information about why they are leaving. If they have decided to tell you they are leaving and not tell you why, don't push the topic. It's not fair for the employee to have to answer questions they might not want to answer. It could be a very personal reason, divorce, etc., and they don't want to talk about it.
Okay. So prying, is this a new word for you too or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, new.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. What do you understand about it for now?
Is something like personal reason?
I mean, that's the goal, is to find out more personal reasons why someone's leaving. But actually, the action is different here. No? Ken, any?
Pride is like don't be nosy.
Yeah, you're getting there. So to pry, there's two different ways you can pry. You can pry with something physically. For example, a door is closed, you can't get it open, so you pry it open. What you're doing is probably putting, I don't know, a crowbar or some kind of object inside the door and then opening it, okay? Prying in this case would be asking a lot of questions, and that would make the employee uncomfortable. So if they send you a letter, oh, I'm leaving for personal reasons, that's kind of the sign to not ask more information. Maybe it could be a divorce. Maybe there's a death in the family and they have to move, or, someone, and they have to take on more children or something, so it could be pretty difficult time in their life, and so you don't want to, oh, well, why are you doing this? And why? And what? And who? And why? You know, and so that's prying. That's asking a lot of information when it's not necessarily being volunteered. Okay? Any other questions?
No.
Right. So, Elle, it's your turn again, right?
Hey. An appropriate way to ask an employee why they are leaving is during an exit interview. This is when the employer thanks the employee for working with them and doing a good job. It should be a positive atmosphere where everyone feels comfortable. If the employee says something mentions why they are leaving, this is the time.
Okay. So again, you can ask very simple questions or something like that. An exit interview in general is just that it's for an employee who's leaving, okay? And what it's doing for the company is it's allowing the company to say thank you very much for your work here. And it's also a time for the company to ask any specific questions about feedback about the company. Do you think we could do anything differently? For the next person in your position, your job position, what would you recommend? You know, things like that. So it's kind of a, you know, I don't even know what the word is in English. It's kind of being honest. What did you like and not like about the job? Or what can we improve on? So it's a time for the company to do that as well. Okay.
You know what? In Thailand, is like if the good worker want to leave, and sometimes the boss will ask them about if like the boss not going to ask, but the HR will be negotiate the salary, keep you stay.
Okay, see, that's kind of the counter offer example then. And this is just, like I said, this is for big businesses. I mean, if this were a smaller company, that could happen, and that's probably okay. You wouldn't have an exit interview. So, like I said, all of this completely depends on the company.
Yeah.
Ken, any comments?
No. Yeah,
Okay.
but sometimes counter forgot the word, counter
Offer?
something. Yeah, might offer. Yeah, maybe boss or company might do that for the employee they want to stay.
Yeah.
I think it just depends. I mean, on the situation, how valuable that employee is. So, okay. Well, I think we can move down here. And Ken, you're the next one to read out. It looks like I'll have to move this down a little bit for you.
Another situation that could occur would be that an employee turns in their resignation letter that they aren't trusted anymore. In these kinds of situations, employees might try to take business or customers to their new job or for personal reasons. If you suspect that there could be negative consequences of the employee coming to work, tell them that they will be paid, but their services are no longer needed. After this happens, they can take their things with them at the end of the day and say goodbye to everyone at the job.
Okay. So again, this depends. You know, if you have a lot of confidence in a person or not, then it will depend if they stay for the rest of the day or if they go home or something like that. So this is the other side of resignation. Just because you turn in your resignation letter doesn't mean that you're going to stay for the next 2 weeks. So, I mean, as it says here, it depends. Maybe you said, oh, I'm going to a different company. Okay, well, if you say that and you're, you know, maybe the hiring manager, the manager doesn't trust you to stay and gather more information, they might ask you to just stop working. So it's kind of an insult, but also at the same time, the company has to be safe and has to, you know, look out for themselves. Any thoughts on this? No? Okay. Perfect. Well, then I'm going to continue to move down. Oh, yes. So these are just some questions. We don't have a lot of time, but in general, this is, have you ever quit a job or resigned, and how did you feel, basically? This is for both of you, if you want.
Ken first.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you've never quit a job or anything like that, then you don't have anything to answer. But it just, I don't know. If either of you have the experience and want to share it, that's great. If not, that's fine too.
I had one, but it's not like because the company that I worked with is my ex-boyfriend's company. It's his family. And
Okay.
when I quit, because we have some personal problem between. That's why for me it's kind of an abnormal quit.
Yeah, it's not a typical situation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Ken. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think for most of them, for both companies and employees, not so comfortable situation or sensitive situation. So somewhat, yes, so maybe we need to be careful about that, to be care about both sides. But in the end, you know, it's companies, the employees will to leave the company. So that's a
Okay.
important thing probably as an employee.
It is. And also, if you're going to maybe use them for a reference in the future, you know, maybe you're going to another company. But it's always good to end things on a good note, we say, you know, not leave in a bad mood or leave angrily or yell at someone. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, very good. So resignation. So now what I'm going to do quickly is just talk about next week's classes, and that's it, because it's the end of the time. So next week we're going to talk about on Monday how to have effective meetings, so another business class. Oh yes, and then on Wednesday we'll be talking about Valentine's Day, as it's the day before Valentine's Day next week. So that's it for today. All right, have a great day, you two, and I will see you hopefully on Monday. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.